how did I discover the turnaround optimizer process? So the history of specialty services during turnarounds has evolved over the last 25 years. When I first started running turnarounds in the early 1990s, every specialty services provider, be it bolting or hot tapping or inspection or heat treatment, field machining, were all very unique businesses with a small number of really highly skilled and competent technicians who were focused in that area. So one of the things that was unique as specialty services was in its infancy in the turnaround business, particularly in Canada, has been, relatively low utilization. When I ran my first shutdown, I was running all the bolting services in a refinery, and the total number of bolted connections that we were responsible for was 54. That was in 1994. We had 54 critical path bolted connections on high pressure heat exchangers and on reactors. And in those situations, we took care of all the tensioning, all the torquing, all the bolt ultrasonic stress measurement, all the flange management, and we worked hand in hand with the general contractor. And we were specialists who did all the calculations, provided all the math, designed all of the specifications. And in those days, I could look over my shoulder in another part of the plant and I would see another contractor who was doing some pipe cutting and another contractor who was doing isolated amounts of heat exchanger tube inspection or heat treatment. And in those days, hydro testing plugs weren't even in the market yet. And everything was a system hydrotest performed by the general contractor. Well, a lot has changed. So fast forward from 1994 to say 1999, and we're in a huge construction phase with upgraders and a variety of large oil and gas, oil sands facilities being built around the province. And I'm standing in an upgrader, and we're going from managing 54 bolt-ups on a turnaround to having to oversee the flange management of 10,750 bolted connections, and cold cutting everywhere, and flange facing everywhere, because it was recognized that bolting and field machining and cold cutting and hydro testing had a lot of value in terms of improving productivity because of an awareness with the technology. So I've been doing this for over 25 years, and in 2012 I was presented with an opportunity with a client to do a major shutdown where every single piece of work was a unit rate, and we had to sweat the details on every location, every piece of equipment, every skill set in granular detail, because we assumed all the risk for every task involved on a unit rate basis. And going through that process really forced us to think about the schedule, to think about the right people, to think about every single piece of equipment, including manufacturing any and all of the specialties that we were going to need for every single application long before we arrived on site. So fast forward to 2013, and we decided to deploy what we had learned in 2012 with our unit rate approach. We had a client who came to us, which we have experienced dozens and dozens of times, and they said to us, "We want to give you half of the work, and we want to give your competitor half of the work. We want them to bring 60 people, we want you to bring 60 people." And our competitor had agreed, which is fine, was probably pretty normal. And we stepped back and said, "No, we're not going to bring 60 people." And the client said to me, "Well, why? You can't get them?" And I said, "Well, no, we can get those people, and we have the equipment, and a lot of it, we could get a lot of the people in the same places that other people are going to find them. There's only a finite number of specialty technicians on the market." I said, what I don't know is if you actually need 60 people. And I said, "Let us optimize this project so we can actually both have confidence that we're going to bring the right people, the right number of people, and all the right equipment." And in that, the turnaround optimizer process was born. So what is the Turnaround Optimizer process? The Turnaround Optimizer process is a 9-step planning and execution process that allows us to optimize all the details on a turnaround, to plan it in finite detail, to put the right competencies on every task, to line up and bag and tag all the right equipment for every single task so that we execute the work flawlessly without creating competency issues on site with the wrong skills at the wrong work location, without having hot shots and missing equipment, without having technicians sitting because they don't have the right skill set. In short, what the turnaround optimizer process allowed us to do was go into a turnaround and execute the work with half of the people, and ultimately do it for 40% less cost, and actually still be in a position to be totally flexible to deal with the 20 to 30 to 40% found work that's normal for specialty services after you open everything up. We did all of that, and we're still able to take on all that found work and stay within 5% of the original cost, best cost estimate. And from that process in 2012 and 2013, we have systemized the Turnaround Optimizer process as a way of how we engage with clients who really want to better plan and organize and execute specialty turnarounds in a way that is lean and efficient and effective and safe. So the first step in the Turnaround Optimizer process is called the 90-minute meeting. The 90-minute meeting is a short, brief meeting with all of our client stakeholders, the contracts people, their engineering, their quality people involved in the work, all of their field coordinators, their planners, and their leadership team. And that may be 8 people or that may be 18 people. And we sit for 90 minutes. And we walk through all of the next 8 steps of the process and review how we do it and what the outcomes will be. And we make a decision. Is this something that you want to proceed with?